Hello, y'all. Thanks for being here at Mental Health and the Mighty. I'm so excited to hang out with you this afternoon. My name is Chrissie Hodges, and I am an advocate. I've been coming on to uh, Mental Health and the Mighty, wow, for a couple of years now, getting to share lived experience topics that I feel like are really relevant to people that struggle with mental health from the lived experience perspective. So glad to be here today. Thank you so much. A little bit about me. I'm the author of Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. You can follow me on Instagram at Pure O Chrissie, P-U-R-E-O Chrissie. And I'm a certified peer support specialist here in the state of Colorado. I've been working as a peer now for almost 6 years. I worked in a corporate environment. I worked in the Colorado State mental health institutions. And then I went out on my own working specifically with people who live with OCD and anxiety a few years ago. And then from there, created OCD Peers, which is, you can see back there. It's a group practice. We do groups almost every single day for OCD anxiety. Kind of keep an eye on us. We're looking to expand as well in the next 6 to 8 months to different diagnoses and symptoms, so we can really start helping to serve anybody who is struggling and really deserves peer support. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Oh, I have OCD Game Changers, which this is great. Because I come on the first Tuesday of every month, and we're doing a virtual retreat in about a little less than 2 months. It's on May 29th. And it is for OCD, but also if you're a therapist that treats OCD or a family member, we're going to be running it's called the OCD Game Changers Retreat. It's a support retreat. So we're not doing kind of your standard panels and keynote speaker. Like, aren't we all just sick of that shit? Look, and I'm like talking to you right now over this. But I mean, we're tired of being on there. So we really wanted to design an event that brings people together more as a community oriented event, kind of a support event. You can be in rooms with people that, maybe have the same theme or are struggling with OCD and trauma or OCD and addiction. So we're super excited. That's going to be May 29th. You can register for that event at OCDGameChangers.com under the events tab. Right now is our early bird, and that's $35. And if you register for early bird, which is until April 15th, you can submit a topic that you would like to see covered in one of the rooms, the support rooms that we're calling cabins, because it's a retreat. And so we would love to hear from you. It's kind of the unconference format where the community gets to decide what they want, what they need. And that's what my nonprofit is all about. So I think that's enough time. I wanted to just give a few minutes if you wanted to join to get on here. As you know, I like to talk about topics that are a little bit more, definitely less clinical. I'm not clinical, and more just oriented towards lived experience. And this one has been coming up a lot lately for clients that I see. You see it on social media or forums, or people really starting to struggle with fears about going out into the world after pandemic. We've got here in the States, I can't vouch for every country, but if we are seeing this. Oh, thank you, yay! We are seeing people getting vaccinated, so we know that is going to be a trend moving forward in every country, and so people are gearing their minds towards, okay, it's time to get up and get out and get back into the world. And I think this is I think the thing is that we do want that, right? Some of us, no, I'm just kidding. I don't like lockdown, but I'm a homebody, so I haven't really minded it. But I mean, here's the thing. when this pandemic started, so we're looking at a little over a year ago for the States. I can only talk for the States. Everybody really just thought we're going to shut down for what, a few weeks, then stop the curve or whatever, and this is going to happen. And then it continued to drag on. And I remember saying to someone, there's no possible way this is going to go until the fall. It went till the fall. There's no possible way this is going to go into next March, which is when we would typically do our OCD Game Changers live event. And it did. And now there's no possible way it would drag into the summer. Here we are, y'all. It's, way well over a year later. As much as we didn't like the idea that our lives got shut down, that is definitely enough time to get used to being shut down, to get used to being locked down, to develop new routines, to get really comfortable in those routines. The last thing I wanted was to not be able to go to our gym. That's something I'd love to do in my daily life, going to the gym. It gets me up and out. I see people, I work out with all the machines. Well, when the lockdown happened and it was like, you can't go to the gym or you have to go with a mask, which I didn't want to do because, I sweat a lot and I get anxiety when I sweat. So I just didn't want to deal with that. I thought, okay, well, we'll create our own gym. And we did. We were lucky enough to have a garage, and we were able to kind of piece together like used equipment we found and things. And now here we are. And then it's, well, now you can go back to the gym. And I feel like, do I want to go back? But it was something I loved. And it's weird that I'm even having that internal conflict. I use that example because I wanted to show that we get really entrenched in routines to a point where changing them sometimes can be stressful or anxiety provoking. And that's where we're at. I'm not just talking about people who have OCD, anxiety, or mental health struggles. I think most humans get entrenched in a routine, and then having to go back or develop new routines can just be distressing, or it's just uncomfortable for a while, right? So the other problem here is that we're going into a world that there's this, okay, we've been cooped up, and maybe it is like, okay, but I'm ready to get back out. I'm ready to go hit my favorite restaurants. I'm ready to socialize with X, Y, and Z and do this and this and this the way I used to do. But the world isn't like that anymore. It isn't like it was. And so that also brings on a lot of stressors. It brings on a lot of anxiety of, well, it's not going to go back to the way that you think that it was. And, just to bring attention to that, and this is something that's been stressful for me, even just watching over the last years, watching restaurants just struggle to survive wherever they are, in whatever level of precautions they have to take, whether they have to shut down or this many. But all what that means too is menus change. They don't have the amount of cash flow anymore that they used to have. So they have to make cuts, or they have to do things differently. So you may used to go on every single Friday nights on a date night to your favorite sushi restaurant, and you can't wait to get back to that. And when you get back to it, you realize you can't sit at the sushi bar anymore. They're not using the same kind of, maybe alcohol, or they don't have the same wine list they used to because they had to make cuts. They don't have the same sushi rolls because they had to adjust things. So all of these little things set us up into like, okay, let's get back to normal, but normal doesn't exist. And I know that that's probably stressful to hear, and I don't want to say it, and you don't want to hear it. We've had enough of times that aren't normal, right? Gosh, let's just move past this and be okay. But I mean, it is, as someone who lives with OCD and anxiety, I've had to work on this concept of there is no normal. And many of you who have mental health struggles, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We hear normal all the time. It's like, what? There is no normal. And everybody who says that there is hiding something probably. But we get to, we know there is no normal. For me specifically, it's, things are always changing. I always have intrusive thoughts. There's always something that can present anxiety. There is no normal day for me. There is a routine oriented day that I can, be pretty sure if I go to Sprouts this day at this time, there'll be this many people. They probably have this ready, this and this and this. I can go to the trail at this time to go run and there'll be this many cars there, blah, blah, blah. That's about as normal as it can get, but who knows what else can happen. But I think that's going to be and is the struggle too for us. What am I getting back into? So I wanted to also talk about some of the other things that are hindering people creating fear and distress, including yours truly, is this last year has become also a year of inactivity for people, just, not having the accessibility to things like I talked about before, gyms, or, just feeling this, I have to stay home. Like I know, depending on the state that you're in, Colorado wasn't very restrictive about getting out, but I do know that in the UK and other countries, they were massively restrictive. You can only go out for this amount of time and be around these people. And that is, that was hard. So when when we are exposed to a lot of inactivity, all of a sudden we may start struggling with body image. A lot of people have put on weight during this last year. And including myself, I'm struggling with body image and also like just body dysmorphic disorder. When you are having to look on a camera, and I'm going to tell you, like StreamYard, I use this too for my platform, for my nonprofit. And I don't know what it is about StreamYard, but when I'm looking at myself right now, like I can't even look at my face. I'm like, I don't even look like myself. Why do I look so old? Why do I look so this? I don't know what it is about this platform. No offense to StreamYard, because y'all are awesome. But then when I play it back, I'm like, I didn't look like that when I was actually recording. It's very weird. But during this last year, having to see myself on camera all the time. Before that, I did work from home, so I was completely virtual. But when I meet with clients, I see them. I don't see me. I'm up in the little corner over here, like, with my little face. I'm not staring at myself the whole time. I'm staring at them. So now when our whole world turns to Zoom, here I am having to, I'm scanning people and then boom, there I am. And it's like, oh my God, look at how I look. I turned 44 this year. So, in your 40s, you really start to see that. Someone posted on Facebook the other day, I love this. He was like, he's in his early 40s and he was like, we are at the age where in some photos, like in the different lighting, I can look like I'm in my 20s or I can look like I'm 80. And I was like, oh, right on. It's so true. So almost like having to come to grips with getting older, but now having to stare at myself in a camera all the time, which, really causes you to focus on flaws. These are real things for us. These are things that we're taking, I'm gonna say it. We've been at home, professional on the top, party on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like we're wearing sweatpants. I wear shorts every day. I mean, actually that hasn't changed. I always wear shorts. I can't stand being hot. It'll be like 15 degrees. I'll walk in a store with shorts on and people are like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't like to be hot. Anyway, but still, you're wearing shorts, you're wearing sweatpants, you're wearing pajama bottoms, boxers, underwear, whatever else. So when we have to start putting pants on, we have to start putting, even as much as you love dressing up, I love dressing up. But when I haven't done it for a full year and now I'm going out and I'm like pulling my tights on and things feel tight, then all of a sudden you start to have feelings of body image stuff, or why does this feel this way? I feel uncomfortable, and you can get into sensory stuff then. So it's just, I'm mentioning all this stuff because I want to make sure that that there's just so many facets to this. Um, so with that, there's also the fear of going back out. I want to hit two more points before I move towards kind of some, what can we do? How can we ease into this? There's also, we don't want to forget this, the fear of going back out. I mean, we have been in this, we have been, I don't want to say brainwashed because I believe in COVID. So that's not what I'm saying. So please hear what I'm saying. But especially at the beginning, we were like, it's everywhere. I remember being in the house and being like, when I first went out, wow, it just thundered. It never thunders here, by the way, and it just thundered. That is bizarre. And it's snowing tonight. You never hear thunder with snow. Anyway, sorry, that was just threw me off a little. Anyway, when I first started going out, when we'd have to go to the grocery store and stuff for COVID, and I'd been in the house for like a week or whatever. You'd walk outside and I would be like looking for COVID. I would think, is it hanging on the trees? Like I would have this visual of like COVID hanging off the trees, and then I would get out and be like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like, why am I freaking out like this? So that's what I mean when I say kind of like brainwashed, like the fear of brainwashed. And so, meaning you can still go out and take absolute precautions and be very careful and make sure that you're keeping others safe and yourself safe, but you don't have to feel like COVID's lurking at every corner, right? Um, but that's what kind of we've adopted over the last year. And then when we get comfortable in our homes, the fear of going out. And now that things are opening up, y'all know what I'm talking about. You get to the grocery store now, you've got like 6 feet between people. You're over there, you're trying to pick out your apples, and someone comes up and you're going, why are you so close? So we weren't like that 18 months ago. And I mean, I was, just to be honest with you, like I've been social distancing since the 80s because I have the fear vomit. So I did not like anybody creeping up on me in the grocery store. So I'm not saying that this has been good. I'm just saying y'all are just learning what it's like to have OCD and emetophobia. So anyway, but that's going to be really hard. Adjusting back to feeling safe, adjusting to facing that fear of this person is really close to me in the grocery store. This person, they kind of invaded my space. And so what does that mean? It's going to be uncomfortable, like stretching out of this norm where people are like, I don't want to get near you, because there are going to be a lot of people who have way more risk tolerance than you, or you might have more risk tolerance than others. This does not make us bad people. This just makes us who we are. And that's going to be really, really difficult to kind of get back used to get to a place where, we are, or we're doing the things that we used to do. So I want to emphasize that point, the risk tolerance. There's going to be, I think, a lot of angry feelings when you have a risk tolerance and someone next to you doesn't, and we don't know that about strangers, right? And the more normalized things get as we're opening up, people's risk tolerance is really going to go up quickly, because the more you get exposed to something, the more I go to Sprouts, the same Sprouts, and do the same thing, the more my risk tolerance goes up because I'm so used to it. Risk tolerance goes up. Yeah, that's correct. My tolerance goes up. Yes. If it went down, I would be more cautious. If I get that wrong, whatever. I hope y'all know what I mean. Anyway, so but that's what's going to happen, and that's also going to be scary. You're going out to a restaurant and you haven't been in a while, and all of a sudden someone comes right up next to you, and you think, oh my God, there is going to be a lot of anxiety and fear around that. The last thing I want to touch on before I get to, some things that have kind of helped me, is social media. So for so many of us now, we have been living vicariously through social media, right? I mean, when you're not going to your job every day, or just in general, when social media then becomes kind of the main source of socialization, keeping up with people, wanting to see what people are doing, it then becomes this, well, this is my form of socializing. And as we all know, social media is basically a lie for the most part. People are posting things on social media in general to highlight life. But I mean, if you have filters and you can take 20 photos, you're going to find the best photo typically. And so what happens is we've become so used to living through social media. And when you're faced constantly every day in a feed where people seem like they are doing wonderfully and life is just great and they're thriving, going out into the world might seem really hard if you're not thriving, right? Because social media is telling you everybody is thriving. Everybody's doing awesome. Everybody has had the greatest time ever. And you think, oh, well, I haven't, or I can't let anybody know that I haven't. And I'm scared to go out and find out that I'm the only one. Well, here's your awakening. You are not the only one. So many people are struggling. So many people are making their lives look like they're not struggling on social media when they really are. It's just, it is a platform to highlight your life. And so the highlighted parts of your life, or the faked highlighted parts of your life, are put there for the rest of the world to see. And what happens is we start comparing ourselves. We start looking at that and going, this is making me feel insecure. This is making me feel like my life isn't good. And that becomes our lens to see the world, especially when we have been cooped up in our house, under restriction, unable to go. If you're struggling with money, if you're struggling with body image, this is where it can get really, really tough and ugly for our self-esteem, our self-worth, our self-love. I am here to tell you, this is why social media created filters. So people can use social media to make you think their life is perfect. Their life is not perfect. My life is not perfect. I do my best to keep it as real as I can on social media, but at the same time, if I have one picture that looks better than the other, I'm probably going to post that, right? I'm guilty of it too. And then we also need to look at social media addiction. In the last year, people's social interactions have become social media. It's where a lot of people get their dopamine hits, right? I can build a following. The bigger following I get, the better I feel about myself. The same way when you're out, like if I meet my friends and I meet more friends, I feel better about myself. Unfortunately, over social media, it can be so consuming. Know the signs for addiction to internet, to social media. Know the signs. Know that you can get help. If you are struggling because of social media, please reach out and get help. And I'm going to tell you, you're not alone, and there's no shame in it at all, at all. Okay, so I wanted to move into, I had to talk for a long time. I was like, oh, it's been like 10 minutes. Nope, it's been like 24. mm. I now wanted to talk about a few things that maybe can help. Remember, I'm not clinical, but I use my lived experience to help support people. And so I can just talk a little bit about what has helped me. I've been out a few times in the last couple of months. I actually went on a trip a couple of days ago, just driving up into Colorado, and I went to like 3 restaurants while I was out. And that's the most restaurants I've been to since the entire pandemic. I think combined. It was crazy. Oh, I think I went to 4 restaurants. Yes, I went to 4. Um, so what has helped me? First of all, going at my own pace. I don't feel a need to rush back out to society. to be honest with you, I'm a absolute homebody. I've kind of felt shame about that my whole, like, especially in the last 5 or 6 years of my life, because I work from home, but I'm also really tired at the end of my day. And so I don't like to go out and socialize after I've given a lot in the career that I do to people. I'm usually depleted and need to recharge by myself, and with my husband and here at my house. So I've always felt guilty because I don't like going out. And so the pandemic actually was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm home. But I've found out that I've gotten very comfortable in not going anywhere other than, like, I usually go out and exercise 5 or 6 days a week, and I go to the same stores. That actually has become not healthy for me too, because it has become this almost like compulsive thing. I have OCD, so I have to be really, really careful about whether I'm doing compulsions. And that has become compulsive for me. I go to the same places, I get the same things, I go on the same days. It's so I've had to vary my routine a little. However, I do it at my own pace. I went out with friends a few weeks ago, and I'm actually going out with them again this Friday, and I feel better this time. But it was the first time I had been out to a restaurant in a long time, outside of just going with my husband, who I feel super comfortable with. I had anxiety halfway through the dinner just from all the changes. Like, you have to wait in your car, everybody's wearing masks and you're all the tables are spread apart. You feel very disconnected from people. I had absolute anxiety and literally was like, okay, y'all, I have to go. And I left and I felt terrible. But go at your own pace. This is your integration back into the real world. Understanding when your anxiety is hindering you, so avoidance, but also so like holding you back, but also understanding when you go out, you are probably going to experience anxiety. So go ahead and anticipate it. Be willing to anticipate and acknowledge it. And so when it does show up, you have techniques, CBT techniques, to be able to calm down, learning to deep breathe, learning to ground, learning to center, things like that. And your pace is your pace. If your best friend over here is like, whoa, I can't wait to go and party all night, and you're just not there yet, that's okay. Understand when you feel pressure and create a compromise there. That's the second point I have, is boundaries. Create boundaries with people. When people get vaccinated and they know you're vaccinated, they might be like, look, there's nothing to be afraid of. What's wrong with you? Come on. We're all getting into this family gathering, but you're not there yet. It is okay to say to people, you know what? I might come and stay for about a half hour or an hour. And you can even set boundaries for yourself. I'm not going to shake hands with people, or I'm going to make sure I'm still distancing from people, or I'm going to wear a mask. And that's okay. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing in a situation where you're experiencing anxiety and really adjusting to a situation that's going to cause a lot of people distress. Boundaries are okay. Talk to people up front. If they want you to go out, okay, I'm going to go out, but here's how I feel the most comfortable. Is that okay with you? And if they're not, then don't go out. And that's okay too. And lastly, hold on one second. Exposure response prevention is the treatment for OCD. This is a behavioral treatment for when you have obsessions and compulsions. And exposure response prevention, it mainly is about the response prevention, which is reducing compulsions when you are exposing yourself to something that you feel very scared of. So this is kind of like my life. Like daily, I do this. I have to because of OCD. So when I think about integrating myself back into a world where, and I'm all like comfortable and cozy over here in my world, and now I have to start moving back out. I think about how I approach exposure response prevention for OCD. I have to face fears and I have to reduce compulsions. So I'm not expecting you to get an ERP or to apply those principles, but I just wanted to talk about it for a few minutes. Exposure response prevention is facing a fear and reducing compulsions that are trying to make you feel better. So let's say this. if you're going out and you're having a legitimate fear of, this is the first time I'm going out with friends. What if I get in there and everybody is hugging and, masks are off and people are around and, I start to feel overwhelmed and I don't know what to do and I'm just not going to go then. But that's not like a values-based decision because you really want to go out and see your friends. You feel like you have done the responsible things. You're vaccinated, most of them are, but the fear is still there, right? So the exposure response prevention area, first of all, I'm not teaching you how to do ERP. I'm just using like my lived experience. What it would be is this. It would be, okay, I know I'm going to feel bad. I know I'm going to feel anxious. I know I'm going to, walk in and probably survey the room. I'm going to, watch everybody's emotions, what they're doing. So I know I'm exposing myself to something that I'm scared of. So in order to help you adjust and feel comfortable with it is to prevent kind of the spinning and ruminating of your mind that's going to happen while you're there. The best way to do that is know that it's going to happen. Think of all the things that could cause anxiety before you get to the restaurant. I mean, think about them. It's scary to think about because you're like, I don't want to bring them on. But if they're going to be there anyway, then go ahead and think about them and think of a solution before they happen. Prevent the spinning of the response by going ahead and mapping out your brain. If I get there and people start hugging and shaking hands and I don't feel comfortable, what can my response be to them to hold a boundary, right? The response could be, it's so good to see you. I'm just not ready yet to hug, but I just want you to know I'm so glad to see you. Or if you're sitting in if one of the fears is I get there and our table is right by an area where there's going to be a lot of people passing by, waitresses or waiters, a lot of people going to the bathroom. Okay, where can I position my chair so I feel the most comfortable? So I'm not having constant anxiety with people walking by. What can I do if we're having to wait up front and I'm around all these people? I'm going to go ahead and think about the solution. I'm going to step outside, or maybe I'll go sit in the car and have one of my friends text, when our table's there. Thinking ahead of time to prevent the anxiety from just taking over, causing you to not have the values-based decision of I really want to go. So just to quickly review, go at your own pace, and that's okay. Your pace is not going to be like mine. It's not going to be like your best friends or even your families and maybe even your spouse. That's okay. It's your life. It's your reintegration. And you get to do what you want. Set boundaries with people. And do not be afraid to set boundaries. And don't be afraid to call people out if they know your boundaries and they violate them. I told you I didn't want a hug and you came in for a hug. Can you please not do that? It's okay to do. It is okay to enforce boundaries. People that continually you step over those boundaries, you might need to reevaluate whether it's someone that you really want to go and hang out with right now while you're trying to reintegrate back. And then lastly, using, kind of concepts that help with anxiety disorders. You're going to be exposing yourself to something that's going to frighten you. Go ahead and play through the scenarios of things and place boundaries in place so you can predict and already have a plan so you don't get in there and get overwhelmed. That's a great way to really start looking to integrate back. So I just want to close with this. You are not alone. You may think you are because you're looking at social media and, all this is going on and everybody's life is perfect. And why is it no one's struggling? So many people are struggling, not only with mental health symptoms or just isolation, but also with addiction. Addiction, to a lot of things, including social media. You're not alone. You may think that you are, but you're not. This is going to be a transitional time that none of us know what to do. None of us know how to do it, okay? And everybody's kind of winging it and probably wanting everybody to think they have it under control when they really don't. They're also just kind of stepping out and testing the waters. So the best thing that you can do is, honor yourself, yourself. If you have anxiety, if you have fears about going out, you are okay, and that is okay. and just put in place ways that you can protect yourself, create boundaries, and make this transition as smooth as possible. You don't have to do it at the pace of everybody else. So that's what I had to share with you today. I hope it was helpful. I just want y'all to know I feel the same way about integrating back into society. I do the same things like every day. It's embarrassing, but it's become my routine. So putting a variation in that routine is scary to me. I'm not used to it, but I know I have to. And I know that I'm going to do it really slowly because it's my life. And I'm not going to let anybody pressure me into doing anything that I don't want to do, because I have to be the one that comes home and manages the anxiety. So in that case, I get to take care of my anxiety and put things in place that help protect me, and protect others. So with that, I hope that you have a very wonderful April. I will look forward to seeing you in May. And wherever you are and however you are integrating back into your society at this point, I hope it goes well for you. And I hope that anything that I said during this talk will help. So head on over to Instagram. If you're on there, I'm at Pure O Chrissie. I typically post a lot of stuff there about OCD. Yay, thank you. And also, if you're interested in our retreat, I'm like, where am I for a minute? Mental Health and the Mighty put up earlier where to oh, look, there it is again. We're at May 29th. It's going to be a really, really good time. Ability to virtually connect with the community and really just share stories and create connections and build community. So I hope to see you there. But before then, I will see you here the first Tuesday of May, coming up soon. Thank you so much.